Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the horror on an American campus. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk shot and killed during a campus event. The horrific images coming in. Kirk, just 31, a husband and father, killed in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University. The school saying the gunman fired a single shot. The panicked crowd running from the scene. The difficult and chilling images tonight showing Kirk being carried to an SUV, rushed to the hospital. Before the event, the founder of Turning Point USA throwing hats to the crowd. Kirk welcomed heated debates and was taking questions when that shot was fired. Tonight, President Trump announcing Kirk's death, posting the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. The FBI and ATF on the scene. Matt Gutman standing by with new reporting. Pierre Thomas, Mary Bruce, and Jon Karl, who just spoke with President Trump. Also on this Wednesday night, the school shooting outside Denver. Police racing to the scene, students critically wounded, the suspect also believed to be a student. Tonight, President Trump asking what's with Russia, violating Poland's airspace with drones. Poland and NATO scrambling fighter jets to shoot down those Russian drones. The president posting online, quote, "Here we go." Martha Raddatz just back from Ukraine with late reporting. Also tonight, President Trump furious over Israel's failed strike on Hamas leaders inside Qatar, a key U.S. ally. The president saying he is very unhappy about it. Back in the U.S. tonight, the suspect charged with murdering a young Ukrainian refugee on a commuter train behind bars. What the suspect is now allegedly saying about the attack. President Trump tonight calling for the death penalty. Also, the dramatic scene in court, a suspect lunging at the judge. A major headline overseas tonight, the royal family summit. Prince Harry back with his father, King Charles, and what Prince Harry said about his father afterward. And tonight here we remember a beloved actress. Americans loved that sitcom, and she was famous for 3 words.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and thank you for being here on a very busy and difficult news night. We begin here this evening with the breaking news, the horror on an American campus. Conservative activist, husband and father Charlie Kirk shot and killed during a campus event at Utah Valley University. Just moments ago, Utah Governor Spencer Cox calling this a political assassination, saying authorities do have a person of interest now in custody. Kirk speaking before a crowd of hundreds when the fatal shot was fired. He was known for welcoming heated debates and was seated and taking questions when he was shot. The scene erupting in instant chaos, panicked students running in every direction, and the chilling images right here tonight showing Kirk being carried to an SUV, rushed to the hospital. Before the event, he was throwing hats into the crowd there. Kirk known for reaching out to young conservative voters, helping President Trump return to the White House. The president has applauded him for that. Tonight, the president announcing Kirk's death, posting the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. The FBI and ATF remain on the scene right now, and ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman leads us off with late reporting.
Tonight, horror on a college campus in Orem, Utah. Charlie Kirk, one of the most prominent conservative activists in the country, with close ties to President Trump, shot and killed as he addressed a crowd of hundreds. The event billed as the American Comeback Tour, a lively discussion of freedom and America. Kirk revving them up.
That's a lot of people, Utah, I'll tell you what.
Kirk then sitting on a stool, talking to the crowd, and just as he was answering a question about mass shootings in America, a single shot rang out.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Kirk struck in the neck, the crowd running in terror. Witness Sarah Truell attending the event in between her classes.
Just one shot straight into Charlie Kirk, and that was it.
I was 15 feet away, and it was really hard to witness. As the guy said shooting or shooters or something like that, you just hear the gunshot and I'm sorry, you just see his neck just like open up, and there's just like so much blood that just came out. It was horrible.
Kirk rushed by a group of men to a waiting SUV.
Stop!
President Trump quickly posting his concern. We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. And from Vice President J.D. Vance, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk, a genuinely good guy and a young father. And tonight, a powerful message from Utah's governor.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota, We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. We just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it?
Kirk, just 31 years old with a wife and 2 young children, a force in the president's MAGA movement.
He's done an amazing job. He's done something that is just incredible for somebody really of his age. You need tremendous talent to do what he's done.
Mobilizing young conservatives across the country with rallies on college campuses, he hosted one of the nation's most popular podcasts and was given a key speaking slot at last year's Republican National Convention, where he talked about going to colleges and engaging in debate.
I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. I talk to a lot of young people on campuses, at our events, on my radio show, podcast, and social media. Said differently, I visit college campuses so you don't have to.
A controversial figure, Kirk said he was no stranger to death threats.
We get death threats all the time. You know, they come, they send stuff to our homes and all that. And yeah, that's just par for the course. I mean, if you are not getting active death threats, you're not really doing much for the country.
And tonight, the president announcing that Kirk did not survive.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. This is a dark moment for America.
And David, law enforcement has shut down that campus. They've evacuated the buildings. Eyewitnesses telling me that they've been seeing law enforcement go classroom to classroom. Now, we understand that Charlie Kirk did travel with security, but law enforcement tells us they had no credible or specific threats against him before this event. David.
Matt Gutman leading us off here on a very difficult night. Matt, thank you. So let's get right to our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas. I know it's very early in this investigation, Pierre, but we did hear from authorities about what was picked up on that very grainy surveillance.
That's right, David. Police did not give any specifics other than to say that there is surveillance footage of a person wearing all black that they are studying. They believe that the shot that killed Kirk was fired from a higher location than the venue where Kirk was speaking. There was some confusion earlier today because an elderly man was taken into custody in the moments after the attack. We are told it was determined that he is not the shooter and has been cleared. Authorities are canvassing for more surveillance footage, talking to witnesses about what they saw, asking for any video they may have recorded, and they're also looking for a single shell casing that could be tied to the shooting or anything else the shooter may have left behind. This is very much an active and ongoing investigation, David.
And one more question before I let you go, Pierre, because we saw the images of the crowd racing from the scene with panic in their faces, and that is completely understandable given what they witnessed just a few feet from where they were. We heard from authorities there who confirmed that this shot was actually taken, and we've certainly seen this before. It's believed, at least at this point, from another structure right there on campus not far away.
David, we often see in these situations where the shot is fired from a higher perch location. This is exactly the scenario we saw in the attempted assassination against President Trump when he was running for office last year. This is an ongoing situation, and I spoke to an official today who said, look, open venues outside, they're going to have to reassess how these things are secured.
Open venues, and there were many witnesses who said there were no questions asked when you arrived actually at this event. Very little screening, if any screening at all. So a lot of questions moving forward. Pierre Thomas, our Chief Justice correspondent. Pierre, thanks so much. President Trump, meanwhile, late today talking with our Jon Karl about the death of Charlie Kirk. So I want to bring in Jon tonight. Jon, you were telling me earlier that this phone call was relatively brief, but you could hear it in the president's voice. What did he tell you about Charlie Kirk?
David, first, I have to say he sounded genuinely shaken. I spoke to him before we actually learned definitively that Charlie Kirk had died. He clearly already knew the news, probably had just recently learned it. And here's what he said to me when I said to him, this is just horrific. He said, it is horrific. It's one of the most horrible things I've ever seen. He was a great guy, the president said. He was an incredible guy. Nobody liked him. And then he actually said to me, he liked you. I don't know why, but he liked you. And I have to say one thing about Charlie Kirk is he was as critical of the news media as anybody in the MAGA movement, but he was always willing to engage. And in the conversations that I had with him, the most recent one just a few weeks ago, he was always pleasant and seemed eager to engage, eager to have a conversation, just like you have seen him on these campus events that he has. He goes and he takes questions from people who find his views to be controversial, to be offensive. He listens to the critique. He tells his supporters to be respectful, and he engages in a debate. It's something, frankly, that is all too rare in the country today, and it was something that Charlie Kirk, particularly in recent months, had been doing more and more.
And a quick follow-up to you, John, because when you look at those images of the crowd running for cover, running to safety, it's because they were standing within just a few feet of Charlie Kirk, and he was in fact engaging in the debate, the same kind of debate that you speak of. This is what he traveled the country trying to do on campuses. He was trying to recruit young people into the conservative movement, but he was open to all opinions, and he was engaging in this moment that he was shot today on a question about mass shootings in America, willing to take on the issues, and then they watched to unbelievable horror what played out right in front of them.
I mean, just horrific. David, he wanted to engage with people who disagreed with him. It was part of the show, part of what he was doing. And it wasn't just on college campuses. You know, when Gavin Newsom started his new podcast, his very first guest was Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk went in on there to engage with a prominent Democratic leader.
Jon Karl in Washington after his phone call with President Trump. John, we appreciate it. The president tonight asking that flags be flown at half staff, and there are calls from Republicans and Democrats tonight to take down the temperature in this country to stop the political violence. Mary Bruce is live with us from the White House. And Mary, I know the Secret Service is also out with a statement this evening reiterating that they have the highest level of security in place for the president.
They are, David. The Secret Service tonight reassuring the American public that they adjust their posture as needed to respond to evolving threats, but that President Trump does have the highest level of protection. Tonight, David, this White House is in mourning. They were incredibly close, Charlie Kirk, with this administration. We have seen flags lowered here at the White House and around the country, and on Capitol Hill, a moment of silence. And from both sides of the aisle tonight, those strong condemnations of political violence, those calls to dial down the national temperature. Kamala Harris, who faced off with Trump in a race where Kirk played a critical role, saying, "Let me be clear, political violence has no place in America," adding, "We all must work together to ensure this does not lead to more violence." David.
And Mary, with just a few moments left, I know Charlie Kirk was not an official advisor working at the White House, but he was well known within the halls of the West Wing there. They all knew him and they were in touch with him very frequently, including the president.
David, they were incredibly close, not just politically, but personally. Charlie Kirk was a force in this administration. As the leader of this movement, he really had his finger on the pulse of young conservatives in this country. But he also played a pivotal role behind the scenes here, advising the president. President Trump trusts him. He was a loyal companion and advisor, even advising him on political appointees during the transition. This is a huge loss politically and personally for the president, his family, and this entire administration, David.
All right, Mary Bruce at the White House. Mary and our entire team on this tonight, we appreciate all of the reporting. We'll have more on this as we learn it. In the meantime, unfortunately, it was not the only horrific shooting playing out today. Tonight, there has been a school shooting outside Denver. Police racing to the scene, students critically wounded. The suspect is also believed to be a student. Here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, at least 2 students in critical condition after a shooting outside their Colorado high school.
All fire departments respond on an active assailant, Evergreen High School.
The shots reported just after noon on campus grounds. Hundreds of officers rushing to the scene west of Denver.
Two patients with CPR need another ambulance to all of them.
Authorities say the suspect is a juvenile and believed to be a student at the school.
Honestly, I don't know if our suspect is old enough to even drive.
The suspect was also injured and taken to the hospital. Officials saying police never fired their weapon. Ring camera footage from a house near the school shows students running away in a panic, some of them reaching out to their parents by phone.
I texted my mom. I just told her what was happening and that I was safe.
And parents racing to a nearby elementary school to reunite with their children, still shaken by the incident.
Really scared and so grateful. So grateful for the really brave staff.
That mom says her father was a first responder at Columbine High School 26 years ago when 12 students and a teacher were murdered in the same county as today's shooting.
David, the investigation into the alleged shooter is now underway. Officials say they intend to get a warrant to search the suspect's home and locker. David.
Trevor Ault reporting on this school shooting. Trevor, thank you. Tonight, President Trump with a pointed question involving Russia and Vladimir Putin after that scramble in the sky over Poland. President Trump asking what's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones. The images tonight, Poland and NATO scrambling fighter jets to shoot down those Russian drones. Poland, of course, a member of NATO, all nations defending each other. Tonight, Poland says multiple Russian drones were shot down. A home had a drone crash right through its roof. So after this Russian move, tonight, President Trump posting online, quote, "Here we go." Martha Raddatz just back from Ukraine with late reporting for us.
President Trump asking why Russia is sending drones into Poland, a NATO country that U.S. and NATO members have promised to defend. What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go. NATO scrambling F-16 and F-35 fighter jets and shooting down 4 of the at least 19 drones. The first time since NATO was formed that an adversary's weapons have been targeted in Allied airspace.
Whether it was intentionally or not, it is absolutely reckless.
There were no casualties, but the owners of this home narrowly missed the debris. Polish officials studying those downed drones. This comes nearly a month after President Trump's summit with Putin in Alaska. Since then, Russia ramping up deadly attacks on Ukraine. Just days ago, President Zelensky telling me Putin doesn't want peace.
I always said we can't trust Putin. He plays games, and he's playing games with the United States. I think so.
And David, Russia claimed it had not planned to hit any targets in Poland, but whether anything was hit or not, this is a major and dangerous move by the Russians. David?
Martha Raddatz just back from several days of reporting in Ukraine. Martha, thank you. Tonight, President Trump is also furious over Israel's failed strike on Hamas leaders inside Qatar. Qatar, of course, is a key U.S. ally. The president saying he is, quote, very unhappy about it. Here's our chief international correspondent, James Longman, from Doha tonight.
Tonight, President Trump and a growing number of world leaders are blasting Israel's failed strike on Hamas leadership inside Qatar, key U.S. ally and mediator in Gaza ceasefire negotiations.
Oh my God.
I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect.
The surprise strike raising new questions tonight about why Israel didn't inform the U.S. sooner. The Trump administration was only notified of the operation by the Pentagon when it was already underway. The Qataris getting a call from the U.S. 10 minutes after the attack.
It's a busy residential neighborhood. There are embassies here, an international school, a major shopping mall. This strike has sent shockwaves throughout the Middle East.
Qatar is home to a major U.S. military base and a country Trump championed during his first official visit just this year. It's a country now feeling betrayed.
The Israeli strike into Doha just reaffirms that Netanyahu is not going to ask permission of President Trump prior to conducting strikes against terrorist targets.
And David, tonight, Qatar is instructing a legal team to explore prosecuting Benjamin Netanyahu for the attack. David?
James Longman from Doha for us. James, we appreciate it. Back here in the U.S. and tonight, the news just coming in New York City. Police arresting the suspect who they say murdered an elderly couple, setting them on fire in Queens. Police say the suspect, Jamel McGriff, was seen on surveillance video outside the couple's home. They say he spent about 5 hours inside the home after the attack. Authorities say he had asked to use their phone charger. Tonight, the suspect charged with murdering a young Ukrainian refugee on a commuter train in North Carolina is behind bars. What the suspect is saying about the attack. And tonight, President Trump now calling for the death penalty. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, the man seen on this train attacking Irina Zarutska, the young woman who moved to the U.S. from Ukraine to escape war back home, is facing federal murder charges, and President Trump is calling for the death penalty, writing that DeCarlos Brown should be given a quick trial and only awarded the death penalty. There can be no other option. Court documents show Brown is undergoing a psychiatric evaluation in prison. Brown's sister recording a phone call with her brother after his arrest, where he referred to himself in the third person, telling her,
"Why would somebody just stab somebody for no reason?"
His mother telling ABC News she kicked him out of her house after he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and refused to take his medication. Brown's criminal history has been cited by many on the right as an example of violent crime plaguing Democratic-led cities. Today, Republican officials in Charlotte spoke out.
This is a result of failed policies, weak leadership, and a judicial system that protects criminals instead of innocent individuals.
Zarutska's family is demanding a full investigation. Brown is due in court later this month on those state murder charges. He has not entered a plea. David.
Stephanie Ramos reporting here in New York tonight. Steph, thank you. When we come back on this busy news night, the big news from London, what Prince Harry has now revealed about his father, King Charles, tonight after meeting with him. Also here, we remember a beloved American actress, a sitcom that Americans loved. She was famous for 3 words, and you'll hear them. And just ahead here, the dramatic scene in court as well, a suspect lunging at the judge, and then the tribute in lights for the victims of 9/11. Believe it or not, it's 24 years ago tomorrow, and we'll pay tribute to in a moment. Tonight, the chaos in a Florida courtroom, an inmate lunging toward the judge during a routine hearing, authorities say attempting to attack him, spitting at him. Court officers quickly containing the situation, taking the inmate to the ground. He's been charged now with corruption by threat and battery on a judge. We do have a passing to note tonight. Actress Polly Holliday, best known for her sassy character Flo on the 1970 sitcom Alice, has died.
What? Kiss my grand!
It made us laugh every time. Her character's signature one-liner from the show. Holliday gaining multiple Emmy nominations and 2 Golden Globe Awards, appearing in film and on the stage as well. By the way, her passing coming less than a year after Alice star Linda Lavin. Polly Holliday was 88. From London tonight, the royal family summit. Prince Harry back with his father, King Charles, and what the prince said about his father afterward. Here's Lama Hasan.
Tonight, a royal reunion. For the first time in over a year and a half, King Charles seeing his son Prince Harry face to face. Harry driven through the gates of Clarence House, not far from Buckingham Palace. Royal sources revealing the father and son had a private tea during a 55-minute meeting. The last time father and son were together was after the king shocked the world with his cancer diagnosis. It was just last May, Prince Harry telling the BBC he would like to mend the deep rift.
I would love reconciliation with my family. there's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious.
Prince Harry, who says he misses the UK, travelling here to support some of the charities close to his heart on the 3rd anniversary of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II's death. So far, no signs of a reconciliation with his brother, Prince William. The last time the two were seen together was at the Queen's funeral, putting on a brave face, greeting well-wishers.
Lama at Buckingham Palace for us tonight. And Lama, I've got to guess that the people of the UK and really around the world happy to see Prince Harry back with his father, the king.
They sure are, David. And you know what he said when he was asked how his father was at an event tonight? Harry said of the king, he is great. Thank you, David.
That is great news indeed. Lama, great to see you as well. And finally tonight here, the 24th anniversary tomorrow of 9/11. 2 powerful beams of light reaching from ground zero right into the sky. Officials testing out the annual Tribute in Light on Monday. The tribute will light up the skies tomorrow from dusk until dawn. It's been done every year since 2002, and it's been very powerful every time we see it. I saw the test run just the other night. I thank you for watching on this difficult and heavy news night. I'm David Muir from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 3rd year in a row.